Hey everybody, as promised, I'm now going to show you the Anthony Morris ritual display. Yes, I am. Why would I say something like that, by the way? Because it's on theme with stuff I have been working on the last 5 years. So I kind of know what to look for. It's always going to be a DNA reference, a winter solstice reference, and sometimes both. In this case, for Anthony, it's going to be a DNA reference. And we also have a DNA reference at the Watchtower headquarters in Tuxedo, New York. Okay, that's what comes up on Google Earth as when you do Watchtower headquarters search. So that's why I call it headquarters. All right, so I'm going to invite you over to the computer. I'm going to show you some basic things quickly just to get the ball rolling so you understand what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to show you the ritual. After I show you that, then I'm going to show you some other things that I found in the past that will help to lend credence to what I'm showing you. Okay? Get ready. Buckle up. Okay, let's begin. Genesis 3:15. I want to point out the head and the heel. Those are going to be elements for this story. I'll just go ahead and read it. We're all familiar with it, but... And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Notice it's a DNA reference. Some say seed instead of offspring. Definitely a DNA reference. We have a head and a heel, okay? On a side note, it's also, I don't mind pointing out, it's another example of God putting hatred between people or entities and taking away free will. Because that's God talking there. But anyway, that's not part of the story. We got a head, we got a heel, and we got a DNA reference in that scripture, okay? Next is in 2012, a little 7-minute animation came out called I, Pet Goat 2. In the first 2 minutes, there's a blackboard scene where there's a hangman and a phallus on the chalkboard, okay? There's also a pin up there on the map on the top left, USA, near Boston. And Bush is looking at Boston at one point in the clip. I, Pet Goat 2, okay? So, years ago, I found the hangman and the phallus near Boston. It's in Reading, Massachusetts. We have a hangman. This is going to be Charles Lawn Cemetery in Reading, Massachusetts. I always draw lines right from the center of that head. The little circle right there. That's what I call the kiln clock. Half a mile away is a phallus. It's on Seaman's Way. That's Symonds, Seaman's Way. It's like they knew. It's like they knew, you know? I don't know. So, yeah. And then in the middle, if you look, it's a whole neighborhood here. This bottom street just happens to be Timberneck Drive. Haha. And this looks like a heel. Okay? So the whole neighborhood is like a boot. And the heel is almost ready to bruise the head, or the head's about ready to bruise the heel. By the way, that hangman is a cemetery. Oh, I mentioned that already. Okay, yeah, it's a cemetery. This is an ice skating rink. Okay, so we have kind of a pattern here, right? We've got the Genesis 3:15 DNA, head, heel. We've got it also in I, Pet Goat 2, and now we found it in Reading, Massachusetts, 12 miles from Boston. Okay? Okay, so this allegedly occurred on 3/31, and John Cedars was nice enough to add up the bottles of scotch in Anthony Morris' cart, coming to 857.88. So I'm interested in the 857 on 3/31. Yeah? Okay, so I start looking around. I Google Earth Watchtower headquarters, and it gives me the one in Tuxedo, New York, and I find a phallus. Right there, a phallus. And I think, that's strange. DNA theme again. Another phallus, reminds me of Killam. Just on the other side of the boot-shaped neighborhood, the hangman, right? So, of course, I draw a line, like I always do, from the hangman, center of the head at the hangman, to this phallus, and guess what? It's 331,857 yards. Like, like SCOTCHland yards. Like, more code. I mean, really? Like, how could that be? And, this is not the first time I found something like this. This is the first line I drew. Like, I already know to put it in yards. I know to draw it to the phallus because I see the phallus there. I already know. And it's a ritual display. It's on theme with what other people do, other religions and governments. And he appears to be participating in it as well. Or you can just believe it's a coincidence. But I'm going to draw the line on Google Earth anyway. The reason I'm showing you the photograph first is because they changed the image. The phallus is no longer there, but I'm going to show you with an image overlay that it does go there. Here I have a side-by-side or top over bottom comparison of the Killam phallus on the top compared to the Tuxedo Watchtower headquarters phallus on the bottom. Pretty similar, yeah? Yep. Okay, let's draw the line on Google Earth. Okay, got you back over in the Killam Clock neighborhood. Got the Burbank Ice Arena phallus sitting on Siemens Way, Bottom Street, Timberneck Drive, and of course we have the hangman-shaped cemetery I call the Killam Clock. We're going to draw a line from there, right in the center. Just put two little bushes right in the middle to make it easy on us. We're going to go over to Watchtower headquarters over there in Tuxedo, New York. Measuring in yards this time because you kind of got to follow the bouncing codes. SCOTCHland yards. He bought scotch, right? So we're going to measure in yards. It was on 331 for $857, so I'm going to look for 331 yards. 331, 857 yards. And there we go. 331. That's pretty close. 331, 857, right about there. Okay, so I have an overlay in there. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on because these pictures were at different dates. The current one I just scanned was taken on 5/23/18. This one is a little bit older. It's I think it was 16 or 15. I can't really read the date, but it's down there on the bottom. Okay, same spot. 831 or 331, 857 yards. 331, 857. So let me reduce the opacity on my overlay here, and you can see I lined it up as good as possibly could, but it's going hangman to the Watchtower headquarter phallus. Okay, so let me just bring that down. You can see the V in the corner of the building. Then you got this building, and you got that building, and then the driveway. I'm gonna bring it back up. Yeah. See, there was a phallus there before. It was a phallus. They took it out. And isn't it interesting what they put here? These rocks, I guess. It almost looks like a makeshift cemetery, kind of haphazard, just rocks around. I don't know why they would put rocks there, but anyway, yeah, pretty good, huh? Pretty good coincidence. Okay, so based on that, it is my opinion that Anthony Morris and also most likely his Bottle King photographer were participating in a ritual display that's on theme with the usual stuff, DNA or winter solstice, in this case DNA. And that concludes the Watchtower portion of the video. I'm now going to show you quickly some other things I've found in the past along the same line, okay? Starting with the Vatican. Okay, now here's the Vatican, but first let me just say I do know that my webcam is upside down. It needs a driver. It's a common problem with my laptop, and I haven't found the driver for it yet, so I wasn't going to let it stop me from making the video. Anyway, also I don't want to just blame Morris for the whole ritual display, because I don't think Morris single-handedly went out to Watchtower headquarters in Tuxedo in a construction zone and built a phallus. Did he? The size of a small building? I don't think so. So, you know, it's kind of a group effort. Speaking of group efforts, here's the Vatican. We have a dilated a dilated vagina with a relatively small phallus in the middle. And we have the clitoris building up on top there. Okay. DNA theme. I don't think they're waiting for baby Jesus with gray hair and eyes of fire, are they? You know, I mean, no. That what? So what? So what's going on here? More DNA stuff. All right. More DNA. So let me go through these real quick. Sandy Hook. You know what? Okay. Nobody died, nobody got hurt. Just check the FBI homicide statistics for Newtown, Connecticut for 2012. But anyway, here's a star player in the Sandy Hook shooting. Gene Rosen, maybe? Risen? More DNA, right? Okay. By the way, who likes compasses? Masonic compass, right? Masonic compass. I find that so interesting because 857 just happens to be the 148th prime number, and that's the wrong picture. 857 is the 148th prime, and for the number 148, sum of divisors is 266. How many days does it take in the mean average to produce a human baby? 266 days. How many people died? How many passengers died in 9/11? 266. And, of course, on a compass, well, let me skip that part. Hold on. Let's see what else we got here. Here's another Kilm clock match, okay? The RNC and DNC for the election of Trump. That's the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention. 4 degrees apart from each other when measured from the Kilm clock, the Hangman Cemetery. Okay. Also, the distance in miles totaled 828 miles. 828. Guess what? 354 plus 3 times 5 times 4 equals 414. 414 plus its mirror, which is 414 again, equals 828. And it's not just Anthony Morris that I find. It's always something more. Always. Okay. For example, Mary the Tyler Moore, born 1/2/29, just 1 year, 2 years, 29 months from the birth of the Hoover Dam, which is also, I'm looking for the picture. A lot going on in here. Okay. Where are you? Okay, here we go. Here's the Hoover. All right. When you look at the Hoover on Google Earth, flip it upside down. The Hoover Dam sits in the left ovary. Yep, another DNA reference. By the way, the Hoover Dam is 726 feet tall. And my friend, Uncle Kenneth Nyssen, N-I-S-S-E-N, sounds like Nyssen the 14th, lived at 1401 McCullough Boulevard, right by the London Bridge in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. He was shot and killed by his girlfriend on the 207th day of the year. By the way, the Hoover Dam area code is 702, backwards. He was shot and killed by his girlfriend on the 207th day, which is 7/26, July 26. Hoover Dam, 726 feet tall. Okay. Oh, just a quick insert. I forgot. Also, 207th day, but also that was 2070.00 nautical miles from the Kilm clock to the address given for his restaurant, which is right next to his restaurant and right next to the Hoover Dam, the London Bridge, which he also lived right by the London Bridge. Kilm clock match, 2070.00 nautical miles on 207th day. Okay, before we get to that big one, and everything being more, my very first video was on Public Law 414, Section 212E. It's from 1952, and it's, I couldn't find the picture on it. I'm just going to explain it real quick. It's on the president's ability to change laws on immigration in the interest of national security. Okay, 212E, I look at that as 212.05 because E is the fifth letter. Now, the Moore, Oklahoma beheading to the poll closing time in Nevada, specifically the Hoover Dam, was 212.05% of a common year. By common year, that just means no leap included. You just go to timeanddate.com. You can look on there. They'll give you a common year measurements. Anyway, $857 he spent on scotch, did he? Anthony Morris, which gives me which is the 148th prime. Well, on a Masonic compass, 360 minus 148 equals 212. It just happened to be another small coincidence. Just happens to be. Okay, now for the big one. 9/11. Okay, 266 passengers allegedly on 4 alleged airplanes. Bush on 9/11 of 01 reads Psalm 23. Exactly 10 years later, on 9/11 of 11, Obama reads Psalms 46. Well, that just makes me think chromosomes, because you got 23 chromosomes per parent, totaling 46. By the way, if you were to add a third parent, you would have 69 chromosomes. 69 on top of a Masonic Royal Arch. By the way, the Twin Towers look like double helix DNA, and the new Freedom Tower looks like triple helix DNA. It's like 3 buildings merged and twisted together. Maybe a stretch, but you know, it's on theme with everything else that's going on. By the way, they don't call it the Big Apple for nothing, right? What's the song by Supertramp? Take a look at my girlfriend, not much of a girlfriend. Well, the Adam and Eve story was, guess what? A DNA story too, because allegedly they were going to live forever in a paradise earth, according to JWs, and then they ate the forbidden fruit, thus sinned, and then what happened? They wound down like an unplugged fan and died, and all their offspring dies now too. So clearly a DNA change had occurred from eating some fruit, if you consider it to be literal fruit, but that's a whole other topic. Yeah, I had a video on Prince too. He was in the mix. I don't remember what it was. My channel was closed, so you know, I only know what I remember. Anyway. Okay, well, I did tell you to buckle up in the beginning, yeah? Man, you know, my suspicion in Watchtower started when my sister sent me an article in Watchtower, why, you know, should Christians engage in numerology? And they cited 9/11 being on the Gregorian calendar would also be 8/29 on the, I think it was the Assyrian calendar. Well, that just screamed at me, because I've been covering London Bridge, Lake Havasu, Hoover Dam kind of stuff for years. And guess what the area code is as of 30 days prior to 9/11 of 01 for Lake Havasu, Arizona? 928, which is 829 backwards. Okay? And it just so happens, I showed you my friend Uncle Kenny and his killer girlfriend, not much of a girlfriend, on the bike. Guess where they were going that day? John McCain was in town. They were going to visit John McCain, and they did. In fact, his girlfriend was seen at 2 different locations taking pictures, one at the police station and one at the Eagles, taking photos with McCain, and she was actually standing there by his side while other people were coming up to take photos, which I found very telling. But anyway, John McCain was a senator. He's dead now, allegedly. He's a senator from Arizona, and guess what date he died? 8/29. You know, just like Mary Tyler Moore lived 80 years, 28 days. You know. By the way, Harrison Ford. I mentioned 354 in the video. Harrison Ford was born exactly 354 weeks from the birth of the Hoover Dam. You know, the guy that does the Holy Grail movies. That guy? Yep. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop rambling so the video is not too long, but I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I didn't make your head spin too much. I'm going to have a beer and take a nap.